Prepare the starburst!
Hello and welcome to Tales of Tormented Space.
Did it! He did it, everyone! Kay, I'm so proud of you. Tales from Tormented Space nailed it in one. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And once again, we're taking a little breather between episodes of Farscape in the tail end of Season 4 and indulging in a little fanfiction. And while I made a little mistake last time and there might have been spoilers in the one that I'd selected, I hope that's not the case this time. I've been really looking forward to it.
All right, I think.
Because I like ones that are about sort of speculative about other characters than the heroes. So this one was originally published on the Kansas forum preceding the Terra Firma Escapers forum, 4th of January 2004, by Guider, or Guider. I'm going to assume Guider.
Guider sounds about right.
Now, what kind of... Hold on. What kind of image profile does this person have? Did you look at that? That looks like what we would nowadays call a selfie, which is... back then was just a photograph of you.
Yeah. Oh, in the corridors of Moya.
It looks like a photo of a person in the corridors of Moya, indeed.
I mean, we would call that a selfie these days, even though it isn't. Because that photo was clearly not taken by the person in the photo.
No, but it's got a direct flash. Like, it looks like a Polaroid's taken in what looks like the set. So maybe they got to visit the set, or maybe the photo is actually of somebody who has been on set. Oh, fascinating. Much to explore. Maybe we'll find out one day. But for now, we have a story to read.
Yes, the story is called For an Arbitrary God. Oh, God, I can see where that's going to go. And just because every time I watch this I wonder about this woman's motives.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, Farscape, blah, 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 blah. No offense meant. I really appreciate feedback, folk. I'm still learning here.
For an Arbitrary God by Guider. It had been a strange life, lonely. She'd been here, working with servile Kalish, brutish Charads, and Ema, ugly Scarans, longer than she was ever a peacekeeper.
She rarely saw Sebastians, and perhaps that was a good thing. But now, here was a peacekeeper female. Battered, bruised, barely conscious, and still resisting. For a micro there, she remembered what it was to have peacekeeper pride.
The young commando, not much older than Vrina had been when the Scarans had taken her, was in fine condition and should make a full recovery, if she was allowed to. If she was sensible. There was a look to her that reminded Nurse Vrina Gore of her own younger self. To hear the strong, arrogant Sebastian language again took her, reluctantly, back to her own service days.
She'd been attached to the Black Ghosts,
Ooh.
a nurse, a tech, treated with contempt by the commandos when they deigned to notice her at all, except when they needed her. Yes, she was better technically educated than all but the med-tech lieutenants to whom she answered.
What they had done to the lesser species they hunted was not so very different from what happened here, and it had been her duty even then to keep her subjects alive. It had therefore not been hard to transfer her loyalty, her duty rather, to the Scarans, especially when they offered her her life in exchange. Jennick, when she came under him, had even proved to be a reasonable, intelligent man for his kind.
There had been a bloody encounter. She hadn't thought of it in many cycles, leading to the destruction of her entire company.
Ooh.
Her own marauder crashed, and she was taken in the act of trying to keep two of her trooper colleagues alive. She was quick to realize that her best hope of survival was to continue to do the same on the Scarans' behalf. They knew and understood the peacekeeper setup, and quickly accepted that she knew nothing of use to them, other than her special skill of keeping Sebastians alive. It had not taken too long a tussle with her conscience to accept the inevitable.
This is really well done.
Yeah.
This is a solid motivation. Ironically, the one surviving peacekeeper, the other had already died, was a young sub-officer who had actually taken notice of her. Under other circumstances, they could undoubtedly have been friends. The commando, as sometimes happened, was a bit of a misfit in her own unit. In the end, the only kindness Vrina could show this raw sub-officer was to let her slip away.
And now, after all these lonely cycles, here was another, not so very different. She was older and hardened more by service and experience. Vrina realized with a shock that she didn't look so different from her own younger self before she'd lost all interest in her appearance, all interest in anything but staying alive. She hadn't had a peacekeeper to deal with in many a long voyage. It was a shock to remember her past.
To finally once again meet someone who had seen a comb, which is probably not, an implement that the Scarans have much use for.
No, you'd not think so, no. You don't know where they keep their hairs.
Okay. Well, not where Not where a lot of us keep our hair, which is like on our head,
Yes.
under our armpits, and around our nipples. And then there's a few other places. I mean, these are places that we have seen on Scarrons, which
Fair.
are curiously like,
Hairless, yes.
no,
Well.
and very conspicuously exposed by their preferable mode of dress.
Yes.
So this surprising young woman prayed to Janka Brew. Who'd have thought? She hadn't realized those legends were told in the military nurseries too. They abounded in the tech ones. She could have told the stubborn soldiers many more tales of the awesome, avenging Janka Brew. Maybe in time she would.
First, though, the woman had to learn to cooperate. That was her only hope of survival. No, that her only hope of survival was to forget all she had been taught about resistance. Cooperate, and Nurse Vrina Gaw could ease her days for her.
Vrina found herself wondering why. Was it a sort of homesickness after all this time? The regression of the memories of the aging to the days of their youth? Long-buried regrets or even guilt? She had no leisure to find the truth of it, and she didn't want to delve that deep into her own soul anyway. Vrina had chosen her path, and it had kept her alive, and given her at least as much status as she would ever have had as a peacekeeper tech.
It seemed that this captive, too, had had to build a life outside the service, but she was still a soldier to the core. Vrina could see that. She found unexpectedly that she wanted to help this quietly strong woman with her classic peacekeeper looks, so full of flight, pride, contempt, so full of life, to keep this enigmatic outlaw alive, if only Erin's son would allow her to. As she watched her spit fiery defiance at the formidable Yannick, she knew it would not be easy.
This story is amazing. As it worked out, the best she could do for Erin was to keep her drugged once they had established that the embryo was Crichton's, which gave her, Vrina, breathing space. Jennick was content that Erin was kept subdued.
It had taken all her wiles to preserve Erin when she somehow managed to kill the spy, Morag. Would she ever learn? Vrina had been quietly amused at Erin, even in her drugged and battered state, had seen right through Morag.
Hell yeah.
She had had to persuasively talk up the potential of the fetus, though Brew alone knew the likelihood of extracting such complex calculations from an unborn hybrid. Yeah.
And then they were delayed by those space vagrants and their plague. The nurse realized she was weary. She was surprised to find that, after all these cycles, she was not too worried either way if she caught it. But it would be a shame if Erin were to die now, after all she had survived.
Miraculously, here was his peacekeeper turncoat who claimed to have a preventative against the dermophilica,
yeah.
which threatened them all. Arrogant Frelnik, as if she would be interested in his treacherous body. But once he was in her own domain, she had no doubt she could dispose of him and steal the remedy for herself and for Erin.
The delay bought them some time. Maybe, someday, if they could hang on long enough, the legendary Crichton truly would come in, guns blazing, to rescue his mate. The cynic in her could scarcely believe it, but the tired old exile hoped it might be true. Whoa! That is awesome!
By Geider in January 2004.
Thank you so much, Geider. Yeah, I was really sort of captivated by this woman. Like, what a brilliant sort of narrative hook to just have this Sebastian woman on a
Yeah.
Scarran ship, showing just how complex this world is.
So, did you see that photo underneath there? Like, it looks like someone made Lego minifigs of the
What?
crew.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's a photo bucket link. Yeah, you're right. Somebody made Lego minifigs of it. Oh no! Oh, now there's more I have to look for on eBay with what's.
I mean, I'm assuming that's photoshopped. I mean,
Okay,
or there must be some sort of custom work. I don't know.
Dargo. Dargo's got to be.
Dargo's well. I mean, it
I
might
don't
have been
know.
take a.
This is
Dremel
amazing.
Dremel to a Wookiee or something. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I wonder if we type in those words if we'll find another Star Wars fanfic.
Take a Dremel to a Wookiee.
I don't want to know.
No, probably not. That would be like getting medieval on some sort of.
Talk about tormented space. Hey, we'll see each other next week when we return to Farscape and we start with the first part of We're So Screwed.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're so screwed, and that's episode 18, 19? I lost count.
Sure, thereabouts. Sounds right to me.
All right. Okay.
19, episode 19.
Right, so we're definitely going into the home stretch.
Almost there.
Almost there. 3 more episodes. Dang.
I know, right?
Oh,
Wait, is it 3? No, wait,
Oh,
it's
1920. Sorry, 4.
4.
1920,
Yeah, there we go.
2021. Okay.
I'll let you save the speculation for next week, and maybe we'll get back to
my
the
money's
point.
on two-parters.
Oh, wow. an unprecedented move, actually laying down points in these fanfic episodes that I generally don't edit. Let's see if we make that makes it into my handy-dandy database.
All right.
In the meantime, I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
Bye-bye.
Twice right.